So thank you, Roman Kriz, for coming on to Future Foods Interviews podcast. Roman Kriz is CEO and founder of Bene Meat, which is a cultivated pet food company based in Prague. And we met last week in Amsterdam, or a couple of weeks ago now. And it's very nice of you to come on the show, Roman. So can you just quickly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Bene Meat and about the products that you are making there?
Okay, you introduced me already. Thank you very much for the invitation. Um, Bene Meat was set up in 2020. We are in cultivated meat. We are not pet food company. We are also, oriented on human food because our cells are suitable for both for humans and for for pets. So that's it. Probably I do not know what we would need more.
Well, I mean, what drew you to this area, I suppose? What drew you into sort of cultivated meat? How did you get involved?
Well, it was just accident or, just maybe fortune because I was working for BTL, which is our mother company. We are a subsidiary of BTL, which is a producer of medical stuff. And I was looking for the technologies which were invented or, were tested, in the academic sphere and would have some potential to be introduced to the market because BTL is very good in development, production, certification, and sales, but they do not have so much so big base in research. So that was what I was doing, and during one discussion in 2019 with the owner of BTL, he also mentioned, or like like a side effect, he mentioned have a look also at the artificial meat because at the Singularity University, it was 2019. At the Singularity University, they said that it's a good thing, it's a perspective direction, look whether there is nothing, whether there is anything interesting and like potentially for us because BTL is always interested in technologies because there is a philosophy that technology solves problems. So that's the reason, how I got introduced because, I noticed that the owner of BTL was thinking that the artificial meat, is the plant meat. Um, I haven't heard about that up to that time. I consulted that with Uncle Google. Uncle Google told me what is plant meat. Um, I was looking at that. It didn't make too much sense to me, like nutritionally wise. But Uncle Google told me also that there is also cultivated meat, like as animal origin. And that was the reason, why I started to be interested in that because it made it was making quite sense to me because it
Okay.
was, like nutritionally, not so many companies, very difficult, so that was a challenge for me.
Okay, what was your role before then at PTL before you got involved in this?
I was something like technological scout or something like that. And
Okay.
for almost 20 years, I was representing BTL in Ukrainian market. So
Okay.
yeah,
So, do you have a science background or is it more business, which you're saying?
no. I'm by education, I'm a lawyer, and for my whole life, I was in international trading. But I'm interested in interesting things, so it's also like not only law and trading, but also economy and
So you're good at
recently also
spotting,
science.
and so you're good at spotting a good opportunity, perhaps.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know yet.
So at at Bene Meat, publicly at least, it seems like you were focused on pet food. But you've said it's not just pet food. So what was it that kind of drove this early kind of venture into pet food rather than human cultivated food feed?
Um, I think there were three reasons. You know, the first was the regulatory issues because it's a little bit easier. The regulatory pathway is a little bit easier with the pet food than with the human food, at least in Europe. Second reason was that how to say that uh, cultivated meat, last 5 6 years or something like that. Once it was presented, on public, it was for rich, curious people. It costs fortune, and uh, it doesn't have to be like that. And we think that the potential is like that. And I thought that it's a good sign for the consumers that the potential of the cultivated wheat is also in the field where the basic raw materials are several times lower because for the pets usually or in bulk market, like pets are fed by something what is so terrible that even the cheapest possible stuff like cannot be consumed by people. And the third was the fact that we wanted to, because we thought that it will be quite difficult to convince people to taste something so new. But with the animals, it's a little bit easier because like you can how to say that, you can convince people with rational arguments or with marketing to eat something that it's good or something like that. It's pretty hard with the dogs or with the cats.
Yeah.
Like they are much more close to the nature, so they eat what's good for them, or at least what like in long term, um they do not eat what is not good, what is nutritionally not worth, or something like that.
And so
So
they
that's yeah,
yeah, so they eat more instinctively, you mean? So they
yeah,
just kind of
yeah,
eat what they are told, what their body tells them they should eat.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, so you have chosen uh, a cell line there for the pet food that is quite interesting. Now,
Uh-huh.
now in Peru, I tried guinea. Well, actually, no, I didn't try guinea pig, but I saw guinea pig on people's plates. And you've sort of chosen a similar cell line for your pet food products, right?
Yeah, we chose hamster because it's a natural prey and there is a less risk of allergenitis, of allergic reactions of the pets, because their bodies are by evolution deducted to consume the rodents.
Ah, okay. That's interesting. So it's kind of hamsters, I suppose rats would be kind of similar, would they, in that, but
Yeah, like I think that this is something, I know that it's kind of emotional, but from biological point of view, um, the cells from different animals do not differ so much, because
no.
the cell basically, the mammalian cells or animal cells have the same or very similar mechanisms how to epigenetically adjust to the conditions. So that's the reason why you know the cell which you have in your eye or in your bones or in your muscles, they have the same DNA, but they are epigenetically adjusted to the role in the body which they play. And once you develop the cell or adjust the cell to the conditions in the bioreactor, then they use epigenetical means uh, that make them almost equal, regardless, which kind of animal or which kind of a tissue was the origin of the cells.
Right. I
So the cells, I do not say that they are exactly the same, of course not, but the differences are much smaller than between the animals um, themselves.
okay. I'm not a scientist, but that sounds like kind of genetic editing. Is that?
No, no, no. It's
Oh,
not. It's not because um, the the difference between genetics and epigenetics is that the the cell has the same DNA, so the same genome, but the different genes are switched on or switched off. During the process of phosphorylation, or methylation, or acetylation. So that's the reason, why, what makes the difference between the cells, between the types of the cells in the body.
okay.
So, the DNA is the same, like as I said, in your body, the difference between the DNA of the cell in the bone or in the muscle is zero.
Okay.
They are just, different mechanisms in the cells are switched on or switched off.
Right. So, do you have a product available now that is being kind of sold into the market or not?
Not yet, because we are right now. What we produce is the, let's say, pilot industrial scale. So the amounts are not so big, because the amounts of the meat which are consumed on the market, regardless whether by pets or by humans, are so big that like one production line or scale or something like that cannot make a product or product line. So already for 2.5 years or something like that, what we produce we use for testing, for analysis, for product development, etc. So that's the reason why we do not have still enough raw material so that we have the final product on the market. The only difference, or the only like step towards that, is that after testing the final products, on our dogs and our cats, in the office, because we have something like more than 140 people um, in the team, not only in the office. Um, so like we created a program which is called Try and Share, and that's for the participants, for the people in European Union which would like to test it on their dogs. That's like dog treats, and we would like to create a community of the testers and like early adopters. And we are just like offering that to the market, in this way, because it doesn't make sense to make any business of that. But it's already a step towards objectifying the customer's demand, and we are getting the feedback from the participants, etc., etc. Because like for any producer, it's quite important. Like, will the people eat it? Will the pets eat it? And like we are trying to give, of course, limited but some objective answer.
So you have tested it. You have tested the product with dogs, and they like it.
Yeah, and with the cats as well. Like for instance, like one of the I mentioned that during these last 2.5 years, we were testing. So for instance, we have uh, one test in Belgium at the university in Ghent. Like which was comparing the complete cat feed. Like comparing the chicken breast and our hamster cells, and we were looking for the level of digestion of the nutritions.
Mm.
And it was, like 1-to-1, so it was quite positive, and it was not like non-professional. It was really, like measuring the feces and, like all the, like all the parameters in both groups of the animals.
Okay. So how soon do you think you will have a product available?
Well, I think that next
Okay.
year there will be a cultivated product on the market. I know that these promises are very common in the field of cultivated meat. It's almost like controlled nuclear fusion. When already for 50 or 60 years we hear that yes, within 4 years it will be available. But I'm really optimistic, and like you remember, like something like 1 year ago or 1.5 years ago, you asked me for the interview. Like I didn't. I was too busy, and the second is that in our company we we act according to how to say that in English, put up or shut up. So like I do not want to wave hands and promise something unrealistic and
Yeah.
trying to attract the investors. So that's the reason.
At that
Like I
time, yes, I
Yeah.
remember at that time, the reason I contacted you was because there was news about how Bene Meat had approval in Europe to make and sell cultivated dog food. So, I
Yeah.
mean, can you kind of talk us through a little bit about that regulatory approval? How complex was the process, and what level of approval do you have exactly? What can you do?
It's it was long story because as the cultivated meat is a little bit ahead of the regulatory rules, then at the beginning of 2023, when we had the first samples available and like small production in lab scale, we started to look for the possibilities how to register it, certify, or something like that, so that like we would have the proof that it's possible to sell it. So first, uh, we found out that basically there is a gap in the legislation. So because we are not, you know, we are not exactly in the field of, or we are not in the category for so-called animal byproducts, which means the rests of the bodies, which are not um, how to say that, dedicated to the people, human consumption. So like we found out that the best definition would be a product of fermentation, because that's evaluation of the risks, etc., etc., complies with the process. And in fact, during the cultivation, the cell is has a characteristics which is really close to microorganism, which is usually fermented. So we, because we went to the state authorities. They said we have no idea, like, so we went to consult that with the European Commission. European Commission said, okay, yeah, that seems logic. So we got the, like the statement from European Commission. So then, like we went to the state authorities. They said, okay, if European Commission said A, then we will do A. So like that's the reason why we use the pathway to register our product as a product of fermentation. Now there are discussions, that it should anyway be animal byproduct. So, but that's like that's more technical issues, like.
So it's a loophole, perhaps in the law, which you found. But do you think they're going to try and close that loophole then?
Mm, I I don't think so, or I don't know why,
Right.
because there is basically no reason, like the product is safe, and like it's produced according to HACCP. So
Yeah.
like what would it be the reason? But like, we don't care, we are really sure that the product is safe and it's suitable for the both consumers, pets and humans. So,
But
like
you don't have a kind of letter from EFSA or I mean I suppose EFSA isn't involved in this at all, are they? No.
no, 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 no. We asked EFSA and they said sorry, we are involved only in human food, in novel food.
Okay. But do you have a letter from anyone saying we agree this is safe for animals to eat?
Um, Well, we have this, we have like all the formalities in the pet food are being done on the level of state authority. So check state organs, like it's um, it's a department under Ministry of Agriculture, which is supervising the safety of feed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the paper.
Because I mean, there's companies like Meatly in the UK. They have DEFRA approval. I think for their product. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's I think they were involved, and I wonder whether Meatly are looking at kind of trying a similar thing to you in Europe. I mean, are you aware of anything like that? You know, kind of competition coming in and using your loophole that you found.
Um, Uh, well, I know there is one Austrian company like which used very similar way. Just like they just are in different category. We are in category 12 and they are in category 13 or something like that. Meatly basically use the same pathway in UK with some differences because UK considers cultivated meat to be animal byproduct. So now we are in the feed register of UK, but like we should solve the ABP problem, or ABP issue
Yeah.
as well. But that's again technical. And like to be honest, I'm not so much afraid about the competitors or something
No.
like that because the market is so huge that like it's vice versa. I think that for the consumers, it's crucial that it will not be only one company because like all the other competitors are welcome to use the pathway, and like we are happy to have more competitors.
Yeah. Okay. So with your trials, with the dogs, how have your trials taken place? Have they been have they been kind of offered your product versus regular kind of pet food or how's that? How
Yeah, there were like several kinds of like testing, like there are like two bowls tests, I guess, like where you offer the something standard and cultivated, or like you test some long-term consumption, etc. We have a special thematic group which is involved in testing and product development, so that was organized by them. And yeah, we have also like long-term, like feeding trial, on mice, like for 3 months, the mice were fed by, like standard food and or standard feed and cultivated feed. And, like again, like the result is positive. So
okay.
yeah.
Because there's
And, like at the end of the day, I think that, it will be the decision of the pet owners, like whether it's suitable or not, and we respect it.
yeah. I mean, when the product goes to market in regard to labeling, are you going to label it hamster flavor or are you going to sort of keep that a bit more vague?
No, we are obliged to use the formulation which is in the official documentation. So we will use the cultivated cells of mammalian origin, and like because you're asking probably because of the transparency, so that the people know what they eat or what their pets eat. Like in the Q&As, of try and share program, there is a hamster mentioned. So I think that we are quite transparent. The
Mm.
reason why we registered the product or the raw material as the cultivated cells of mammalian origin was mainly not to first inspire the competitors, and second, there were still quite a lot of intellectual property rights, like which were still not formulated in patent applications. So, like we didn't want to create so-called prior art, so that we could not patent it.
Yeah. So I wonder, because you're based in Prague, aren't you? So I wonder whether it's the same. Because here in Europe, here in the UK, people have hamsters as pets. So, I mean, it used to be quite common when I was a kid to have a hamster as a pet. I wonder whether they do there. I mean, have you got pet hamsters in in the Czech Republic?
Yeah, we do as well. Yes, we
Okay.
have also people which have like pigs as a pet. Like
Yeah.
some special pigs. Like of small size, not the big ones.
Yeah. So it's not
So
going to be any kind of cultural issues then having hamster flavored pet food, you don't think?
I don't think so because there is no reason for that.
No. Okay. And because I suppose because you are a subsidiary of a much larger company, you have good access to resources. So kind of money wise, you can keep going in kind of developing
Um,
this.
we have money available until it makes sense what we do.
Okay. So, I mean, what's your runway, I suppose, kind of financially? How long have you got before you need to sort of make this work?
If it makes sense, then you know, originally I said that, or from the beginning, I'm saying that there are just two conditions, for us. First is that uh, it has to be, you know, re- it has to be, like doable, so that the cultivated meat has to be creatable, or how to say that, like you have to
Yeah,
it must be possible to
it's be
produce it. And
feasible.
second, yeah, and second, sorry for my English.
No, it's
uh,
fine.
and second and second, like we have to be the best in the world. And once these two conditions will be fulfilled, then uh, we do not have a problem.
You have to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, at this particular product, you mean you need to have the best in the world.
No, in cultivated meat.
Okay. Is that your ambition?
Sure.
Okay. Uh, so like in the next 3 to 5 years, you're kind of hoping to be what? I mean, where do you see yourself in 5 years then as a cultivated meat company?
It really depends on the market, on the like on the producers, like market acceptance, etc., etc. Like uh, we are right now on the pathway. Like we need to do everything like we if we went to the market with our final product. But like we as our biggest added value is that we know what we are doing and why, and we are not, like our competence is not so much in production, marketing, sales, etc. So like we do not want to we do not want to go this way, unless or we have to go that way until there will be another partners, producers, marketers, salespeople, etc. Like which have certain position on the market already, which will replace us. But like it has to be done anyway by us because the producers are not ever about how to position the product, how to present it, how to what the whole argumentation, etc., etc., is. out of the current competence of the producers, marketers, and sales.
Yeah. So I suppose
So,
because
but generally, sorry, maybe I will add um, what we would like to be, and where is our biggest competence is to deliver the technology, the know-how to the producers, because we do not have the ambitions to be, I don't know, producer number 2000 on the market, because it doesn't make sense. The if we want to get the cultivated meat to the market in bigger volumes, and the volumes have to be big, otherwise it will be really, like unremarkable, let's say, level niche, yeah.
yeah,
Um, then there is a lot of factories which have to be built, because just for your imagination, like, because meat makes something like 3% of GDP worldwide. So that's something like, I guess I was counting that something like $3 trillion. It's the same like automotive. So like, just like, if you look at the statistics, then the meat consumption rises worldwide something like 1% each year, just to cover just the rise of the volumes. Like, if, let's say, the minimum factory production facility would produce something like 10 tons a day, which is something like incredible now for the biologists, for instance. um, then you would have to be able to build something like 1000 these factories a year, just to cover the rise of the volumes.
yeah,
So and like, once the whole industry is not ready for that, because like, right now, almost all the equipment is, I'm not speaking about the, let's say, laboratory volumes or laboratory equipment, but for the production lines, like, everything is a prototype. And prototype means, that it's not ideal, it's too expensive, like, too long for the delivery, etc., etc. So we need to standardize it, like, and to make like a standard product of that.
and do you think it's important for you to be first to market with this product?
No,
No,
we have to be the best.
the
We
best.
don't have to be the first.
And when you come to market, you need to be able to produce the kind of required amounts straight away, you think?
Uh, no, it will not. It will not work like that, because it's a little bit like chicken and egg, because like, in order, like, if you want to produce reasonable volumes, then you need to have the market, and you cannot get the market without producing the reasonable volumes. So it will go step by step. Like, I think that it will go from the first production facility, second, then maybe, like, if the marketers, if the producers, because we are in negotiations, of course, with some producers. Once they will make a lot of profit on that, because it will be required by the customers, and the customers will pay for that, for the quality, for ethics, for safety, sustainability, or whatever.
Mm.
Then, like, I think that, like, the other producers will be attracted as well.
So when your product comes to market, what percentage of cultivated meat do you envision being in that product?
I think that it really depends, because like, let's divide it into three segments. The first is dogs. Second is cats. Third are humans. I think that with the dogs, and again, like, for dogs and for cats, like, the difference is whether it's only treats, or whether it's like, complete nutrition, because there are some regulations and certain rules about the ingredients, like, which it has to which have to be involved. So I think that for the dogs it will be easier, because dogs are, like, they eat almost everything, and there are even vegan dogs, for instance. With
Yeah.
the cats, like it will be so for instance, like I know that Meatly, like came to the market, like with the first
Mhm.
sales, they had something like 4%. We have 18% for the dogs, like just for the trial, like with the cats, like it cannot go below 30-50% for the human consumption, like we count on or we have the vision of the hybrid product like 50-50,
Yeah.
like with the plant ingredients or with the other ingredients.
Okay. So with the dog treats, sort of 18%. And so that's with dog meat, or is that kind of a dog treat? Would that be?
That's dog treats. The try and share program right now. The first, like the first step, the it's I don't know treats or kibbles. Like they consist of 18% of the cells.
Okay. So you've been experimenting with different percentages to see how, how much the dog likes it at what percentage, and you've kind of reached 18% as a good amount. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then with cats, it's more like 30%. You've been doing these trials and it got to 30% until they were interested. And kind of anything below that, they just didn't care. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, because there is especially with the cats because they are like ultimate carnivores because they do not have the digestion system adjusted to eat anything but meat. So like there is a percentage like uh, which like if we come to the market with a product, like or with any product, and not only us but anybody, like there is if it is not supposed to be some like marketing scam or how to say that, like show or how to say that, the it has to be perfect product. It has to be really, the acceptance of the cats or of the dogs, has to be on the high level so that, like it makes sense not only for the pet owner but for the animal as well.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we were testing, like with cats and dogs, like different levels, etc., etc. And like with the cats, for instance, it's almost impossible to reach 100% because like even if they get mice, then some of them, do not like it.
Yeah.
So like we are looking for acceptance above 80 or 85%, I guess.
Okay. So there is a risk that someone could buy the food and then their cat wouldn't eat it, I suppose. But then you get that with cats anyway. I've had cats where they just refuse to eat certain foods. It's quite normal, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's normal, and even with the dogs, like with the standard products, like they prefer some, they do not like too much, the other one,
Yeah.
like nobody knows because to be honest, we do not know too much, like what we are eating or what our pets, are eating
Yeah.
because the how to say that the equilibristic or how to say that the game around the labeling etc is so sophisticated that at the end of the day you do not have a clue what you're eating.
Yes. Well, that's true. Yeah. Okay, well, just a final question before I let you go, Roman. So, I mean, what do you think are the biggest problems kind of facing specifically the kind of cultivated meat for pets? I mean, what are the uncertainties that keep you up at night?
Well, uh, I will not speak about the like the issues in the like building the facility and like development etc because we would stay here for a few hours. I'm
Yeah,
afraid. I think that the biggest risk is the too much support from the state. Like I think that this is the biggest risk because recently, how to say that, people are a little bit even deterred by or I feel that people are deterred by the so much promotion of the alternative proteins, like big future, novel food, etc., etc., cultivated meat, plant meat, like that sometimes, it goes beyond the borderline, where people, start to be, like saying, okay, why, like why they're pushing so much. So I think that, the biggest risk is that the whole industry, activists, NGOs, like people which are involved will be too pushy and will be, like requiring by the state to support it too much.
So
So for instance, in Denmark, like they are preparing the CO2 tax on the cows, for instance. I do not think that it's a good way. I think that people should have the right to choose and should define their reasons for their choose. And, like cultivated meat should be like a next option, not like a replacement of the meat. It should be considered like that. And in practice, it will be like that for many, many, many years from now.
yeah, well, I mean, it's probably only going to work as a hybrid for a long time, right? As a product.
No, I think that within a few years we will be below price parity with the normal meat. So I don't think that. But again, it's the kind of promise. But like according to our calculations and plans, like we will be below the price parity, and uh, it will not be required. It will not be required, like to make a hybrid product.
So you think consumer perception is the key problem at the moment, and that perception is created by too much attention put on alternative proteins as an alternative that begins to frighten the consumer into thinking that they're being kind of state controlled in some way.
Yeah, kind of. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was a bit of talk of that at the conference, wasn't there, about kind of using the term alternative proteins and perhaps replacing it with a different term that is more, like rather than alternative kind of collaborative protein or uh, you know, or that sort of terminology. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that these, like disputations or discussions about the terminology is for the conferences, it's not for the market, it's not
no,
for the consumers, people don't care. Like
but
people
people,
at the end of the day, like they will see the price, quality, the benefits. They, like each of us is making cost benefit analysis in each second of our lives, so that's what the consumers will do as well.
yeah.
I'm just thinking that it will not be like I think that there is a still kind of a big tendency on the state level, like to how to say that, to formulate the alternative, let's say, food and feed, so that it would be more acceptable for the people. But I think that the biggest problem now is that people do not have a choice. They they have a at least for the cultivated meat, for the plant meat, like they tested it, like it was like it was not so much accepted, according to the it was not accepted according to the promises or expectations, because people simply decided, what's good or what is bad for them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think consumers tend to change behavior based on what is kind of morally good or bad. It's usually what makes sense in their pocket, what sort of tastes
Yeah,
nice,
exactly.
what's, that kind of thing. What is kind of, and what is culturally perhaps right. If their friends are doing it, then they're more likely to do it. If a celebrity does it, they're more likely to do it. So it's all that as well,
I
isn't it?
think that it really depends on the cost benefit analysis of each person and motivation of each person. Somebody wants to be, like innovative. Somebody wants to be part of the crowd. Somebody wants to be as conservative as possible, because there
Yeah.
are thousands of generation or hundreds of generations before, like which were doing something. So why should I do something else? You know, let's leave it on the people, like let's not create some governmental programs or anything like that. Let's leave it on the market.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Roman, for coming on, and I look forward to seeing your product on the market. And perhaps we'll talk again when it's available, and we can show the packets, and perhaps we can have some dogs eating it and seeing what their reactions are or something.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for the invitation. It was a real pleasure. Thank
Okay.
you.
Lovely to talk to you. Thank you.